Welcome to Comfort Zone, a podcast all about pushing your hosts, well, outside of their comfort zone. I'm Christopher Lawley, and every week I am joined by two amazing co-hosts. First up, Matt Birchler. Matt, how are you doing?
Chris, I'm very cool today.
Ooh, I feel like you're rubbing it in, but hey, the temperature here is starting to come down. We're also joined by Niléane. Niléane, how are you doing?
I'm doing well. Here it's approximately 1 billion degrees. So,
Celsius or Fahrenheit? Because that makes a difference.
Kelvin.
Or Kelvin.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Everyone neglects Kelvin, and I'm like, that's messed up. Like, Kelvin's the temperature too.
But the thing is, Kelvin is basically Celsius, right?
Is it?
No.
I thought like Kelvin is like a way to measure the temperature of like stars.
Sure, but isn't that right? Okay, maybe I'm.
No, I think
wrong.
somebody did a graph a long time ago. I kind of vaguely remember about like 0 to 100 degrees Fahrenheit is kind of like a normal. 0 to 100 degrees Celsius is like you're dead, and 0 to 100 degrees Kelvin is everything's obliterated.
Yeah, but I thought that Kelvin to Celsius conversion was just like it's still 1-to-1, but like the degrees are 1-to-1, but it's the zero is not at the same level. See?
Oh, like the decimal points moved.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
Okay.
Welcome to our science podcast.
Yeah.
So I'm seeing here one. Okay, what? No, 1 Kelvin. No, that's not it.
0 Kelvin is negative 273 Celsius.
That's
but
it,
then
yeah.
It goes up. So Celsius is a subset of Kelvin?
The more you know, and knowing is half the battle. G.I. Joe.
One more way that Celsius is better than Fahrenheit.
See, I disagree there.
Well, of course.
I like meters. I think meters makes way more sense for measuring distance. But like there's no nuance to Celsius. There's a wide range in Fahrenheit. And like yeah, it's kind of weird that freezing is 32 and not 0, but there's more range. There's more depth to Fahrenheit than there is Celsius. It has character. Anyways, let's move on because weather talk is not interesting.
Oh, but temperature talk is very exciting,
Yeah.
I hope.
Well, it's heated.
Let us know if there is one more unit we can talk about.
Yes, please.
Yeah.
So anyways, we have an interesting show for you this week. Matt, you're first up in the show doc, and because I have ADHD, I just have to go through that order of the list. So, Matt, what do you got for us this week?
Yeah, so I have a new product. I'm excited I have something actually like brand new to talk about on the podcast. And conveniently, it is all about setting your home to the correct temperature, Fahrenheit or Celsius.
Oh, so we ruined your transition there. That's what happened.
So,
Matt.
I know. Welcome to Weather Talk.
By the way, really quick, my comfort zone is about 68 degrees. See what I did there?
68? Oh, man.
Oh, I like to be cold.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, that's really hot, guys. Shouldn't do that.
68 degrees proper temperature, I should say.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So I love this Nest Learning Thermostat, the brand new one.
The new one. This is the 4th generation one?
Yes, officially the 4th generation one. I've been using the last Learning Thermostat, which I think was basically the original, for like, oh boy, I bought it in 2018. So 6 years I used it and bought this upgrade right away for reasons I'll explain later. But I've been a big fan of Nest, and it's just always worked great for me. I've liked the smart stuff that it does for you. And yeah, as soon as I never cared about my thermostat until I got a Nest, and then I loved my thermostat, and I generally don't think about it. It just kind of does what it needs to do, which is awesome, and it always looked nice on the wall. So I always appreciated that. Do you guys use a smart thermostat by chance? Chris, I feel like you must.
Yes, I do. So Little bit of a weird situation here. At my old place, my condo, when I was living by myself, I had the Echo B, whatever the latest and greatest Echo B Pro 3, 4, 5, 6, whatever that one was. Had that, absolutely loved it. HomeKit integration worked amazing. I set up home automation so that like when because I lived by myself, so I set it up so when I left my house, or my girlfriend also had access to my HomeKit stuff. So when nobody was home, it would automatically shut off. When we'd come back, it would automatically set to a certain range. Absolutely loved it. Then moved into this new house, and there is a Nest on the wall here. And it's fine. I think it's the first generation one, because it's still like the aluminum. I know they went to plastic for a little while, but this one's definitely still aluminum. And I hate this thing. I absolutely hate this. But it has been so hot here because you have to shut off the power to replace these. You can't do it. I mean, maybe somebody might be able to. I'm not going to do it live. But it has been so hot here that I'm like, I don't want to shut off the power and deal with like electrical stuff and be sweating. So I'm like waiting for the temperature to go down, and then as soon as it gets down to where like I can have the house nice and cool while I work on this, the Echo B is getting thrown on that wall because I hate this Nest. I hate the app with it, and I know I'll let you get to that, but the Nest app is actually being deprecated from what I understand, and everything's supposed to go through Google Home now, and it is horrible. It is absolutely horrible. Like you have to force quit this app in order to get it to like actually see what the thermostat is set to, like if you manually go and change it on the wall. I hate this thing. So as soon as I can, I'm putting the Echo B on the wall because I love that one so much.
Oh boy.
Yeah, I have thoughts. I got spicy takes.
Niléane, do you use the smart thermostat or do you have an old school one?
So our situation is that we have independent things everywhere. Like each room has its own thing. They're not connected at all.
Huh.
And the flat that we moved in is like they reshaped everything before we moved it, and they installed these things, radiators and AC units in the rooms, and they're all very smart. Like it's got the Smarties in there, but it's like the old school kind of Smarties where there's no app. There's just a few buttons on it. You set it up once, and it's supposed to be super power saving stuff. So you just set it up once, you forget about it, and that's it. The only thing I've done, I mentioned this before, I've added the AC unit in the living room to HomeKit by automating the remote via SwitchBot. If you remember that. But that's it.
I do remember that. That was one of our first episodes.
Yeah, so I can control the AC in the living room via HomeKit, via this. But otherwise, I can't touch any of the other things.
Gotcha. Okay. So, listeners, ignore everything Chris just said because the Nest thermostat is awesome. I have the total opposite experience. But let me, so the things that like were awesome and still are awesome. All of the scheduling and stuff that works really well for me. Still works really well with this new one. The design is better than the old one. It looks gorgeous on the wall. Like I knew it would look a little better, but I wasn't prepared for how much better it looks. It looks really, really good. And the screen is like domed and glossy, and the way like kind of they have this feature called Farsight where you like walk up to it, and as soon as it detects that, even from like way down a hallway, it will turn the screen on and it kind of like animates in and just looks beautiful. You can customize that Farsight to show like either the current time, the current weather outside, or the like thermostat settings, so you can see all that, whichever you prefer. It's gorgeous. Like it is really, really good. I got the silver one, and yeah, it just looks really, really nice. The UI is super simple to use, works great, and yeah, the new ones, I don't think the old ones came with one in the box, but the new ones come with a remote sensor in the box as well. So I've got one. Oops, got one here for video people to see, but it's just this tiny little sensor you put anywhere else in your home, and that'll be like a second place for it to detect the temperature. Easy to set up, easy to get going, and we have this in the bedroom so that like at night we can prefer the bedroom temperature. In the rest of the day, we prefer the middle of the house temperature, which is where the thermostat is. So this all works just like it used to and is awesome. Also, I kind of think the Google Home app is better than Apple's Home app in many ways, but
What?
yes. Oh,
Really?
100%.
It's so
100%.
it's not responsive at all. Like I have to constantly force quit it to like update. Like I don't have to force quit the Home app. That's and I'm sorry, but Control Center support is also way nice to have. Like it sucks have to go into the app to change the temperature like a couple degrees.
It does. Not Google's fault, we'll say. And then, but yeah, I mean, I guess I also have a Google Home in my kitchen that can hear me from pretty much everywhere in the house. So I can just ask the Air to change the temperatures, what I tend to do anyway. But anyway, the new stuff. There's some new stuff with this as well. I already talked about the Farsight options, which is kind of like the display that comes up when you like approach it. Amazing. Love it. There's also a new feature for smart ventilation. So if your HVAC system supports how much like outside air is coming into like your system when it runs the heat or the AC, it can turn that on or off. So if the air quality drops too low in your area, it'll actually stop ventilating like air in, and so it will just be a little nicer inside. That's a really cool thing.
That's cool. That is actually legitimately something I would use.
Yeah. And like air quality wasn't a thing I really even thought about a number of years ago. And then like recently there have been a couple times where I get like weather alerts that are like, it's actually really bad outside. So
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah. So that's cool. Another thing they're doing is it has more visibility to the weather where you are, and it's using that to determine how to use your systems as well. So if it's colder outside, it will use less AC because it knows the outdoor temp will help you get the house down to a lower temperature, and opposite when you're using the heat. So it tries to use less energy than it needs to. I guess the old ones didn't know what the current weather was, so they didn't do that. But the big thing that I've been waiting for, and is the reason why I hit buy on this the moment I saw the news stories that it was out, is that this supports Matter, which...
What's the matter with you?
Oh, nothing. It's worked great.
Are you Matt? Or are you Matter?
I am Matt Matter. It is so cool.
That sounds like your like secret superhero identity.
Yeah.
Yes, that's my Marvel Stan Lee name. The Matter support is good. I think it's as good as could probably be done. I'm not quite sure how they would do some of these other things. But basically, you have to set it up with the Google Home app. But after you have it set up in there, you just go to the Home app. I went to the Apple Home app, opened it, said add an accessory, scanned the QR code on the device, and in like 2 taps, it was set up. And it was in the Home app. It's a thermostat, and I can control it with Siri, and it does all the things. The only thing it doesn't do is eco mode. So you can put a Nest into eco mode, which just is like, don't make it too hot, don't make it too cold. Just here's like a range of temperatures I want you to keep it in. So we use that sometimes. That isn't supported in the Home app, I'm guessing because the Home app just doesn't have the concept of an eco mode. And it doesn't support these sensors that you put around the house. So you can't like select what sensor you want to use in the moment. You have to do that through the Google Home app. The good thing is, if you switch it in the Google Home app, whatever temperature the sensor has will report back to Apple's app. So you can't change the sensor in Apple's app, but if you're using the sensor as your main like temperature source, it will see that and will use it. So, but it works great. I'm so happy. Like I've tried using Homebridge before to make this work, and Homebridge works for like a couple days, and then it's like you have to re-authenticate again, and I'm like, it's painful. So it's nice that it just kind of works.
I got the Homebridge thing working on the Mac Mini for a little bit, and it just was a pain to keep it working. And I'm like, I'm undoing this. I'll just go buy HomeKit stuff. So,
Yeah.
as you were talking, I think I kind of figured out why I don't like my Nest.
Ooh, go.
So
me.
the whole Farsight, like it detects if you're home kind of thing, and then will auto go into the eco mode, like if it thinks nobody's home. I think that's the issue, because where our thermostat is it's in a hallway, and it's pointed at the opposite wall in the hallway. And it's a hallway you don't really walk down unless you're going to one of the bedrooms. Like, unless you're going to my bedroom, or like we have a guest room, and then there's like a guest bathroom in there. So unless you're going to one of those three, it's not going to see you, just because of like the layout of the home. So I'm guessing that's the issue. So I either need to find that setting and turn that off, but even still, that doesn't solve my issue, because the first generation Nest doesn't support Apple's Home app. So it's getting yanked out as soon as the temperature goes down anyway. But I think that might be the issue, because it's constantly like turning itself off, or it goes to the eco mode because it thinks nobody's home. And I'm realizing now, I think that might be the issue, is because it's just in this weird hallway. The layout of this house is weird.
It sounds weird.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, like if you guys saw my video about like my new studio setup, like because my studio and my office are separate, because we have this weird little like nook at the end of the hallway. Like the hallway just keeps going, but there's nothing it connects to, and it's just like this dead end. And I'm like, well, I guess they can turn this into my office kind of thing. Like whoever designed this house, it's very strange.
Weird. So I know the Nest is not long for this world in your house, but
No.
I adore mine, and I if you were a fan of the Nest, I think this one is great. And again, it looks so good. So yeah, super happy with it. Do you guys have any other questions, or have I rambled on enough about temperatures?
This one is not made of plastic anymore. Like, correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't they go from aluminum to plastic for a bit, and then now they're back to aluminum? Or
So they never stopped making the aluminum one. They added a plastic lower cost one a couple of years ago
okay.
as a low cost option, but they kept the learning thermostat in the form factor you have, with the aluminum kind of ring around the edge.
So the plastic one doesn't have the smarts to it then?
It has the smarts, but it doesn't have all of the features. I'd have to go. There's a whole thing, a whole list, but it doesn't have quite all the features, but it has most of them.
Gotcha. Okay. No, I understand. I do like the ring that is around the Nest, like just spin it to turn up or down the temperature. I love that. That is something the ecobee doesn't have. You actually have to like do a couple of taps to change it like right on the thermostat. So I do legitimately like the ring. I think that is a very clever way of just quickly changing the temperature.
That's one nice thing. I will take it.
Yeah. No, I mean, look, I know I kind of play up the character of like, oh, I hate this thing on the show and stuff like that. And I don't like the Nest. I really don't. Like, as soon as the temperature comes down, I have the ecobee already from my condo. I have the sensors and stuff to go with it. That is one thing. Like, I don't think this generation of Nest supports extra sensors, or maybe they don't make them anymore, but like we don't have, like, the only sensor is on the thermostat, so it's constantly measuring the temperature of the hallway, not the living room, not my studio, not our bedroom or anything like that, and that kind of drives me nuts.
Yeah, totally fair. All right, Chris, I think you have an interesting app that we don't talk about that often, but is kind of super powerful.
I'm anxious about this one, Chris.
Ooh, okay.
This
all
makes
right.
me anxious.
So a little bit of background. For those that don't know, I make YouTube videos for a living. That's how
Without
I pay
us?
I know. I'm so sorry.
Man.
I know.
I thought these were your only YouTube videos.
Well, yes. No. So I have been using different project management systems for years, and the latest one that I've been using was Things. I love the app Things. It has been my task manager for years and years and years and years, and I've made a bunch of videos about different ways I've used it and how my use of it has evolved over time and stuff like that. It's a great app, but for project management, I've kind of outgrown it. It's not scaling to the needs that I have, and I'll talk about those in just a second. So I have been using Airtable, and I've used Airtable for project management in the past, and it was great. But the thing I didn't like about it is I didn't like having basically two different task managers. I didn't like having things for like my everyday task and other projects and stuff like that, and then Airtable for video projects, and I also use it for expense tracking as well. But like I said, I've outgrown things. I know I need something that's a bit more powerful. So right now I'm trying Airtable, and I'm not sure it's the perfect thing. It is extremely customizable. You could build all sorts of different databases and things like that. Basically, my main one is a spreadsheet with video project names, notes, dates I'm going to work on it, a link to the sponsor, which is another database. So I can link the sponsor for a video and the video. I can link those back and forth so I can see those records in each, which is a really handy feature, really important for me to have. So things don't kind of like fall in between the cracks and stuff like that. On the expense tracking side of things, I can like add copies of receipts to the expenses and stuff like that. So I can easily get all that stuff over to my accountant at the end of the year or quarter. All that, we don't need to get into taxes. That's depressing. And then like for like sponsorships and stuff like that, I can upload like the sponsor guides. So typically whenever I have a sponsor, especially if it's like a hardware product, I usually get a guide from the sponsor that's like, hey, here are the 3 or 4 features we would like you to kind of talk on, and like here's some like tech specs or something like that. Like for example, I'm working on like an Anchor charger sponsor right now, and like, oh, here's all like the wattages per ports, and like here's all the things that it can do and stuff like that. So those are really handy to have. And then like I could do like a Kanban view with my with like my video projects, so I can see like, because right now in particularly, like I'm working on my iOS and iPadOS 18 walkthrough, Vision OS 2, along with some other videos. So I'm working on a few different videos at once. So I just have a Kanban view, and I can see where the status of each of those projects are. That tag is in the main spreadsheet view as well. It's just really nice how everything links together, and you can just create these different views. Like for example, I created a calendar view, so it shows all the start and end dates for when I'm working on certain video projects. It also has all the due dates for sponsorships and stuff like that. And I was able to take those calendars, and you can basically add that to any other, you can subscribe to that calendar essentially. So you can add it into iCloud or Fantastical or Google Calendar, whatever calendar service you use. So that way I am also seeing like, hey, I'm supposed to be working on my iPadOS 18 walkthrough video today. And I could just see that right in my calendar. I don't have to jump into Airtable for that, which is nice because that means it also syncs with the widget. But, and here's the but.
Oh no.
The iOS and iPadOS app for Airtable suck. They are terrible. Airtable is 100% meant to be used as a web service. I don't even think they have a native Mac app. So I had to create a PWA. For those that don't know, that is a progressive web app. That's basically if you're on a website with your iPhone or iPad and you hit the share sheet and you hit the button that says like add to desktop or add to home screen, it will create like a little app icon right there on your home screen. You can tap it, and it's just like a single web page view. That is a progressive web app, and it works better, but it's not perfect. And I'm just, I'm struggling finding something that is good for project management that has the features that I need. Like if things added the ability to link different tasks together and then added like a calendar view, that would be perfect for me. But because you can't quite link different tasks together, I had a shortcut that I built that would basically take the deep link for a things project and then put it in the notes field for the other one. But it was very janky, and it was very like kind of, it didn't quite work right. Plus I really like that calendar view of just seeing like, oh, hey, for the next 3 days I'm working on this video project, and then the next 5 days after that I'm working on this other one or something like that. So, I kind of wanted to talk with you all about like, do you do project management and like what do you use that for? I know there are other things like Notion and stuff out there, but Notion kind of has the same issue of Airtable, where their iPad app is not very great, and Notion is trying to be that thing where it's trying to be a little too much, where it's not just like for project management, it's also for note taking and stuff like that, and it's just very it's got too much going on where it can't quite decide what it wants to be. And I know some people really like that about it, and if you do, great, I'm glad it works for you. But I am really specifically looking for something that is just a project management tool. So I'm kind of curious, what do you guys use for like your different projects?
Niléane, I feel like you don't even use a task manager.
I'm very curious what Niléane's going to say.
Okay, a few years ago, I discovered Notion. Okay, and I don't mean discovered by I started using it. I discovered it because I was trapped in an algorithmic nightmare, where at the time that was Twitter, my Twitter timeline and YouTube, all started recommending me nonstop Notion influencer videos. And I may be traumatized by this event, but I remember having nightmares where I was dreaming of being stuck in Notion projects. And people trying to link me between different documents. It made no sense, but it traumatized me, and real nightmares. So whenever I hear or see those apps, Notion and the likes, including Airtable, I lose my marbles. I have no idea.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry I brought this up.
That's okay. But the funny thing is, like, I feel like a child when I see people use these apps, because I feel like a child. I do not get. I mean, it makes a lot of sense. It's rational, all you do with it, and you've explained it all. And those Notion influencers back in the day explained it all as well. It all makes sense, but I do not get it. I feel like I would just die and suffocate under the weight of these apps, and it's very irrational, and I don't know why, but I have no idea. And if it comes at a point where even if I needed to use these apps, I never would. Like, I would try to split it up in tens of smaller one-purpose apps. If you see what I mean, I would split it up, and nothing would go. All of this would not be in a single app in my head. Impossible. So yeah.
So, how do you track like what you're writing for Mac Stories? Example, like, do you like track like your ideas, or like, hey, this is something I want to write about in a week or two, or something like that?
Yeah. Do you want to know?
I do want to know. I legitimately want to know, because like maybe I'm overthinking all of this and I don't actually need all of it, but like I know if I don't write something down and I have like a visual way of seeing like, hey, this sponsor is tied to this video and this video needs to be done by then, I'm gonna forget about all of it. Like, I literally just found something today that I'm like, oh, forgot about that. That's something I need to do. So like I for me, at least with my ADHD, I have to write that stuff down.
Yeah, so with my variant of ADHD, I guess, writing something down is a guarantee that I will forget that I wrote it down. So we're back to square one every time.
Huh.
Yeah. So that's why I abandoned task managers to do apps and stuff like that. And that's why my calendar usage is very minimal today. Because, so the calendar, I still use a calendar app, because the calendar app, you can have it be ambient, right? You can have a calendar on your wall, and that's the thing. I have a calendar on my wall right now. It's Stephen Hackett's calendar. It's pretty. I like it. So it's on my wall behind my desk, and right now, so we're on the 23rd of August, and I just realized I have not checked the days since the 13th of August. So every so often I look at my calendar. It's right behind my desk, like it's right beside my screen. And every so often I look at my calendar, like I'm like, oh, we're no longer in July. I should turn the page over. So yeah, that's the deal. Writing things down doesn't work for me. It's just another step to forgetting about it. I do sometimes write things down because I don't trust myself on some things. You said, how do I track McStory's ideas? Well, most of the time I don't track them. I just remember, okay, next I want to write about this, and this, and that's it. If there's something longer term, then I write it down. But that's a catastrophe because I forgot that I wrote it down. Since it's longer term, I can count on the idea that maybe I will stumble upon it at some point by chance, and I remember what it was about. But that's it. Yeah,
We have two very different flavors of ADHD.
Yeah.
Like we are like polar opposites when it comes to our ADHD. Like I have like in Airtable, I literally have a database called ideas, and these are all the ideas I have for videos, and then I can take that and then mark that as active, and that gets put into the main database of like active video projects and stuff like that. So yeah, we have two very different flavors of that. I think if I tried your system, I would probably never get paid again. So
yeah, that's the thing. It's very irrational. Like I said, I have to send invoices at the end of every month, and that only comes to my mind because it's the end of the month, and something in my head goes off, like an alarm goes off, and it's like, oh, you have to think about this, and I think about it, like, but it's not written anywhere. It's not even on my calendar that day I have to send that invoice, and that's it. Like that's not something that I write down.
That's interesting that you can you remember that. To me, I have to send invoices as well, and that is a task in my task manager because I will forget to do that, even though like it's a thing I do every single month. But if I forget to do, I'll forget to do it, and then I don't get paid, and that would not be good. It turns out money is something you need.
Yeah.
Who would have thought? Hot take of the day.
I will say that I'm not without failures. Like my system is not a system. It's like bad things happen to me all the time because of this. But so far, it's the best I've been able to do to deal with it.
Have you ever tried something like what's the thing where people like load up their calendars with like, okay, from time blocking, like, okay, at the end of the month from 9 to 10 I send invoices or something like that?
Yeah, no, because
okay.
The thing is, if like, okay, imagine that lasts like a week, a full week is send invoices. Sure, I've tried this before, so that's why so imagine that's a full week. Well, on Monday, I see that thing, I see that block, and I'm like, okay, sure, 6 days left. Then the next day, okay, sure, that can be tomorrow, there's 5 days left. And then on the very last day, okay, then maybe the alarm will go off when I see that it's the very last day that I can do this. But not even then. Like, if I know that it doesn't have to be absolutely today and it can be tomorrow in the morning as soon as I wake up, like there's something very weird going on. If I see something that I have to do written in front of me, I'll have a contrarian mind that will go against it. Like, I have to fight against it.
Huh.
It don't tell me what to do.
Yeah, no, I understand. Like, I see. For me, like that's kind of the thing. Like, I found I used to give myself like an extra day for every video project, but what that would mean is I would just start a day late. Like I had to stop doing that. I can only give myself for like a normal video, I can only give myself 3 days to complete it. Because if I give myself 4 days, it means I won't start until day 2. So I get what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a bit of the same thing. Yeah.
Matt, what about you? What do you do for like tracking your projects? You believe it or not, Matt does YouTube videos as well. So I'm kind of and like you have your blog and you have a day job and all that stuff. So I'm kind of curious.
Yeah.
Like you've got a lot going on over there.
So in the grand spectrum of Niléane to Chris in terms of organization for projects, I'm closer to Niléane.
Oh,
there you go.
For my blog, there's no system. There's nothing. I think about something, I write it, I publish it, I'm done.
Okay.
But that's not a. I mean, I guess it does make a little money now, but that's not like my day. It's not. I don't. It's not the same sort of work that you do with your YouTube channel. So the stakes are much lower. Although even then, I do commit to like one exclusive like members post every week, but I don't have any system to do that. I'm like, oh Jesus, it's Friday. I haven't written anything. Let me write something.
Okay.
That's interesting. So I have no system there. For YouTube, I talked about it briefly last week. I use Obsidian to track kind of a Kanban board with ideas and then what's in progress. And that's mostly, I think, actually just so I can easily get the links to my old videos and thumbnails for them when I post like online. But I don't necessarily need that at all. Like I could just do it in like an Apple Notes thing if I really wanted to with a couple notes while I record. But yeah, I don't do a ton. The thing I thought that was interesting that you brought up is that like Airtable's mobile experience sucks and Notion's mobile experience sucks and Obsidian's iPad is okay, but mobile on like iPhone sucks. Like I think these apps just don't work on phones. Like you just can't do great product management on a phone. You could do good task managers, but like once you like elevate to like the next level, I just don't know. Maybe it's just an impossible problem and it just can't be done. And you just really need the bigger screen of a tablet or a computer to do that right. I don't know, because like no one's been able to crack it, it seems like.
So for me, like I don't use Airtable on my iPhone. What I did is I created a couple of shortcuts using Airtable's API to put like if I have an idea or if I want to make something an active project, I can run those shortcuts and I can do it from my phone there. Like if I'm out and about, because like if I come up with an idea for a video and I don't write it down, that idea is gone. That video will never get made. And there's some good ideas out there. So I have to do that, but yeah, I manage everything from my iPad, but I don't use the iPad app. Like
that's right. Okay.
I did a PWA. So
the PWA is on the iPad, not the iPhone. Okay.
Yeah, the PWA. I don't even know if the PWA would work on the iPhone. Just considering like because Airtable is meant to be like this big spreadsheet thing, and you really need like a wider screen than what the iPhone can give you.
Yeah. But that's what I do. It's fine. It's efficient, but yeah, it's pretty basic.
Interesting. Yeah, there's definitely a market for a project management app that isn't, that is a proper native iOS and iPadOS app. But what concerns me is we've passed the point where something like that could be made, and everything now has to be cross-platform, web-based, because everything needs to be made for enterprise. And John Voorhees wrote something for the Club Mac stories not too long ago about like we're missing that middle piece of like software. Like yes, you have reminders and things. Yes, you have, and he actually wrote it about Airtable too, which is kind of funny. And then you have like these big enterprise things. But there doesn't seem to be something in the middle for managing projects. Like he literally wrote what I'm talking about right now. Like his examples were exactly the same thing. And like, we're both looking for that. Like, yes, we want something that's a project management tool. We would like something that's native to iOS or iPad OS, but just like a decent experience without all the wild enterprise stuff. Like Airtable right now is pushing all their AI stuff, and I looked at it, and I genuinely cannot figure out what their AI stuff does. Like, it's trying to be all like, get summaries and all that stuff, and I'm like, get summaries of what? It's a what? Like, I don't get it. I genuinely do not get it. So,
yeah.
I would
say-
like
Go ahead.
yeah, I would just say like
I'm
I
losing
would
my
love
mind.
like something in between things and something in between Notion and Airtable. Like something there's got to be something there. I briefly looked at OmniFocus, but I'll be honest with you guys, the new OmniFocus, it doesn't make any sense to me at all. I just look at it and I'm like, what am I supposed to be doing with this? It's a little too I don't know. It's just it doesn't. OmniFocus has never quite been my thing.
Yeah, no, I get that. I, you mentioned I have a day job as well, so I do work in like a software development company, and
Okay, so you can make my app for me that I
yeah,
want.
absolutely. That's
Oh, there you
thanks.
go.
But like we have these systems, and I'm thinking about like the software we use. We're deep in the Atlassian and Google ecosystems, so like Jira, Confluence, and then all the Google workspace things. But like I'm looking at those tools, and like I'm wondering like if like the stuff about like, oh, if it was a native iPhone app version of this, like would that be useful? And honestly, no. Like it would be literally zero use to us to have like incredible like native iPhone apps and iPad apps. Like if it's on the web, that's actually better for
Yeah.
how we use it. And
Oh yeah,
I think that's why you see a lot of this being web-based first, not because it's like they're lazy or they're like bad developers. It's like that's what the people who use this need, and that's what they want. And to your point, there is still a niche, maybe not as big a niche and not as profitable a niche, who's willing to pay like $50,000 a year for their company to use Jira or whatever. But like, it would be nice if there was something great you could go to and use for this sort of thing for like YouTubers, right? Like that seems like a market that Notion kind of leaned into initially, and now they're kind of expanding into like a real like professional tool for real companies. So yeah, I don't know how you do it, because you always got to grow, you always got to keep getting bigger.
and it's funny. Like you mentioned your needs at your company, and like I worked in IT for 9 years. Towards the end, I definitely favored web services because one, I wasn't having to push out updates to a bunch of computers, and some of those computers may not have been on the domain, and blah 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 blah. Long story.
Yeah.
With a web service, I don't have to worry about updates. It's just there. I also don't have to worry about like, hey, this salesperson is on vacation but wants to access this thing, but they didn't bring their work computer, so
Yeah.
I'm just
Yes.
like, okay, go log in to the thing. I also don't have to worry about malware trying to get local database information or anything like that. It's just all on the web. It's not my problem. If the web service gets hacked, well, that's lawyers' problems, not mine. Actually, it still would have been mine, but you know what I mean. So I get it. I'm not trying to say like, this is like this is terrible, terrible, terrible. But I do miss something in the middle, and it's very funny that John Voorhees and I, like, if you're a Club Mac Stories member, he wrote it like a couple of weeks ago. I think it might have been the monthly, or maybe it was a weekly. I don't remember, to be honest. I just remember reading it and thinking, yes, yes, yes. We're like both at that same place where it's like, we need something to manage our businesses, but there isn't anything out there for our needs because we're not a big enterprise company, but we're not, a small one-off, like, not necessarily like a hobbyist thing, but like there's definitely like there's tax stuff I have to track and things like that. Expense tracking, that is really important to make sure I'm able to get all the write-offs I can get, and I'm not paying a gajillion dollars in taxes when I don't need to. So, yeah, it's is what it is. But I was hoping you guys would have a solution for me, but you don't.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I'll keep looking, and hopefully there'll be something. If you're a developer out there and would like to make a project management system, please get in touch with me. I will accept email for that.
You just sounded like a disclaimer at the bottom of an ad.
I basically am I'm a real life disclaimer. Anyways, let's move on from this. Niléane, what do you have for us this week? This looks kind of interesting.
Yeah. What was it again? Okay, sure. I kind of lost track here. Yeah, so I've got a small extension, Safari extension, that I found out about this week, and I think it came out this week. So it's just fresh out of the oven. It's called Lucky for Safari. And what it does is very simple, although pretty well done, pretty well advanced for what it does. It replaces your Google search results with a cleaner look. So just imagine the Google search results, but like from 10 years ago, or more than that, where you've just got the 10 first links and that's it. The 10 first links and that's it. Nothing around them, just title, small description, URL, and that's it. And pagination to switch pages. And it's actually got like a few buttons on the side if you're on desktop, or it also the extension works on Safari on iOS. On iOS, the buttons are at the top, and these just let you they let you jump to image search, news, and videos, and that's it. Like, it's really well done, and it's well designed too. Like the way this developer remade the search results, it looks really good. It's clean as hell, and the funny thing is it feels like it's part of Safari. If you see what I mean, if you need to look at the screenshots to understand what I mean. It feels like it's part of the Safari UI, native UI. For example, when you see the search results in Safari, there's no search bar at the top, above the results, because when you perform a search with Safari, the address bar is your search bar, right? And your keywords, your search keywords, are in the address bar still and can be edited just like a regular search field. So it's relying on that to be able to to blend into Safari's UI, and it's really well made. It's got a couple of fun perks. The links I said before, you can search images, news, maps, and videos. You can customize those. So, for example, it's got one of those buttons is Google Videos. So if you click on that, it just opens Google in a new tab with the videos search results, the video tab on Google. But nobody uses that. When you search for videos, you search for them on YouTube most of the time, at least if you're like me. So you can actually replace that shortcut with a YouTube shortcut.
Oh.
So it will use your search keywords, and you just have to find the URL syntax for YouTube search, and that's pretty simple. You just perform a search on YouTube, and you just copy the URL and replace your keyword with the custom variable that it's %s, I think. That's it. And that's it. You can just perform a search in Safari. You get a clean results page, and you can jump to YouTube to perform the same search on YouTube. And that's really nice. I like it.
Nice. I have a ridiculous complaint about it.
Okay,
so
shoot.
I'm looking at the screenshots, and it says Lucky brings back the simple, clean search results of the original 10 blue links.
Sure.
But on iOS and iPadOS, the links are not blue.
Okay, so I have the same. Okay, I agree. I agree with you. It's a bit weird. On Google, on the iOS and iPadOS, the links are black. But I think, I understand the design decision, because on iOS and iPadOS, you can tap a whole result block to open the link. Mm-hmm. Whereas on the desktop, you only click the title to open the link. So that's the only clickable thing. So I guess there's a design decision here to make it consistent with iOS, where if you tap a whole block in an app on iOS, they're not blue links.
That's fair. Yeah. That's fair.
Yeah.
I'm just if you're gonna lie in your copy, that's
okay.
One thing, whatever. No, this does look pretty cool. It's from the guy who made Vinegar.
Exactly. Well. Yeah, I was about to say. Yeah.
So he's kind of got his own thing going on with modifying Google's interfaces across the board.
And never mind. I'm gonna bite my tongue here.
Okay, yeah, I know what you're about to say, Chris. Vinegar, I like the concept. I don't use it because I actually like YouTube's player UI.
I agree.
Yeah, you kind of miss on features and stuff.
I like being able to pay my mortgage, so
Yeah, but
Yep.
our listeners pay for YouTube Premium, so
Yes.
that's not an issue either way.
Yeah, I mean, if you don't, but I look, okay. I had a little post about this, but I was a little on Mastodon the other day, and I was a little worried. I was out of touch, but Niléane kind of told me I don't think she didn't think I was, but
Yeah.
So there are a lot of make YouTube better extensions or apps popping up right about now. And all of them seem to the very first thing that they advertise are no ads. And while I agree, ads can be annoying, and I'm trying to be careful here because I don't want to, I get it. Like, ads are annoying. I totally get it. But when people are making something and the only way they're monetizing it is ads, it discourages people from making further things. Because making YouTube videos, while is fun, I love it, is not the easiest thing in the world. It takes up a lot of my time. It's my full-time job now. I did the thing where I worked a full-time job and made YouTube videos at the same time. I did it. It was fine. Actually, it wasn't fine. No, it was miserable. I was working two full-time jobs in tandem. Like, I would work an 8-hour day, then I would come home and work basically another 8-hour day, and then I'd work weekends and stuff like that. I put my whole, doesn't matter. So it kind of rubs me the wrong way when I see somebody selling an extension to remove ads from YouTube, especially when they're selling it for money, to remove ads from YouTube, because it's kind of like, pay me so other people don't get paid. Am I out of touch here? Be honest with me. Am I being a little grumpy old man?
I think it's more complicated than that, but
Okay.
I understand where you're coming from.
Yeah.
I think for YouTube especially, the ads are cancerous thing. Yeah. It's the worst thing
Yeah.
on the web, the ads on YouTube.
I don't know. There's some blogs out. There's some news sites and stuff like that have some pretty bad ad situations and stuff.
I agree that those are bad, but YouTube.
Yeah. I don't disagree that they're bad.
No, but wait. My point was to say that these people who would go and buy those apps, they would use an ad blocker either way.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah. So I don't think it's enlarging the population that would block ads on your videos. I think it's just touching the same people who block ads.
I think in particularly, it's kind of just touching a nerve right now because, one, the ad market, in my, I've been doing this since 2016, so in my 8 years of doing this, since starting YouTube and stuff like that, the ad market has never been this bad. It's absolutely horrible. That money, I'm not crazy wealthy or anything. I use that money to pay bills, just like anyone would use their money from their job to pay their bills. That's what I use it for. And then it's kind of funny to me when you see some of them are free. There are some ad blockers out there. There are some YouTube replacements that are free, but then there is ones that are just hey, pay us a little bit of money, and these you basically get all this other content for free because you're not having to see. I don't know. Maybe I'm worried I'm old man and I'm being out of touch. But I also I understand YouTube ads are not great, but also they pay for my where I live. So
No.
it's a weird thing. I totally get it, and I hopefully I'm not being old man out of touch, but I know I'm 1,000% biased here. I am completely biased here. I am not trying to say I know what's right and what's wrong and stuff like that. I am completely biased.
You're less out of touch here than when you said that you didn't like Daft Punk.
I was going to say, which of his opinions? Is it the Statue of Liberty, French people? Is it the baby thing? Is it the Daft Punk thing?
Man,
the
I got
Daft Punk
hot
thing is still
takes.
definitely the worst.
Is
Tough
it
for those
though?
babies, but
Is
yeah.
Does anyone remember the app that I was talking about? Or
I'm so sorry.
Lucky,
I totally
Lucky.
derailed us. But Lucky does look really good. I totally
Yeah.
derailed us. I apologize. I'm so sorry.
No, right.
I had an ADHD moment there. But Lucky itself looks really cool. In fact, I'm
Yeah.
going to install this because this is kind of the thing I would like to use.
Plus, I don't think anyone's feeling guilty for removing all of the crap that Google
Yeah.
puts nowadays around search results.
If anything, it's actually helping the web because it's removing all those like quick answers that they just
Yep.
like scraped from blogs and stuff like that, and all the AI generated answers and stuff like that. If anything, I think this is actually like helping the web. So I don't see an issue with it. It's definitely something I'm going to try out. I don't know if it'll stick around, but I'll give it a shot.
It's been a breath of fresh air because, like, it suddenly felt like old times when I started using this extension. Because suddenly, when I was looking for things, the answer wasn't just like in big, bright font at the top. Suddenly, I had to like actually read the results and read the sources, and you kind of forget that just YouTube feeds you the answers and just wants you not to care where they come from. And yeah, it feels nice to be able to just search the web and click on links and be back to browsing web pages when you're searching for something.
Yeah. No, I think this looks really interesting. This is pretty cool. Anything else before we move on? Because I can hear something in the background.
Yeah.
It's the shutter of 1,000 cameras going off. That really didn't make any sense.
I don't know what I expected, but it wasn't that.
Challenge. Anyways, this week, Niléane, you had a challenge for us. What did you have us do?
All right. My challenge was create a new wallpaper. And let's just remind us of the rules. Just target one device. Let's not like make a wallpaper variant for every device. And it has to be something that did not exist already.
I like this. Matt, you want to go first?
Yeah. I don't know how to describe this in audio.
We will have links to everything in the show notes, so you can go check them out.
Will you be able to add them to the chapter art? Maybe?
Yes, I will do individual chapters for this section so we can have the chapter art be our wallpapers.
Okay, I'm clicking on your link.
Okay. So I was inspired by what I already had as my wallpaper, which is a wallpaper from Ben McCarthy, the developer of the Obscura camera app. And I went out and took some close-ups of leaves with my camera. I color graded it to make it look nice and cropped it to an iPhone size. And I'm using it on my iPhone right now, and I think it looks lovely. So that's what I did. A classic photo as a wallpaper.
Very nice.
But I think it looks pretty good.
Yeah, I like this a lot. I like the colors. I think, especially if you use the built-in iOS, like you set this as the lock screen, but then on the wallpaper, the home screen wallpaper, you did like the natural blur. I think that would look really good, where like the transition between the two. I like this. This looks pretty good, Matt.
Yeah, sweet.
Are you able to put the clock behind that top leaf?
You could. You'd have to. I think you'd have to pinch to zoom in a little bit, but you could get it up there.
Yeah.
So I intentionally put that leaf below it so that if you have a widget, like a medium,
sure.
2x4 widget on the top of your home screen, like I do, then the leaf is going to be just below that. So yeah, that's it. Nothing more to say. I did include a few bonus ones in there as well while I was just in my photos. But
the bonus ones.
This is the official one for whatever competition is happening.
Okay.
Nice. Okay. All right. So for mine, I took a photo that was it's a handheld long exposure shot, which by the very nature is not going to be very sharp. It's probably going to be a little blurry because long exposure basically means, for those that aren't aware, the sensor on your camera is staying open for a long period of time, multiple seconds. In fact, I think this time was like 10 or even 30 seconds. It was probably like 10 seconds. So while I probably had my hands as steady as I possibly could, I know I had like my neck strap on for my camera, so I'm holding it as steady as I can. But long exposure photography, if it's not on a stable tripod, it's not going to look super sharp. So this image didn't come out very sharp, but what it is it's a night shot of a starry sky. And while in the original image you can definitely see the stars and stuff like that, it wasn't very sharp. I didn't like it. So I've never really did anything with it until now. So what I did is I went in and I cleaned it all up, color graded it, made it look nice. I wanted to go for a dark mode background because dark mode home screens is going to be a really big thing with iOS and iPadOS 18. So I wanted a wallpaper specifically for dark mode. So this has stars in the background, but I put a blur over it. So the stars are much more circular. Everything is out of focus. Nothing's in focus. It's blurry because what I wanted is, as this is your wallpaper, I wanted stuff to pop out on top of it. What I forgot to mention is this is wallpapers for the iPad because me.
Of course.
So if you're using it on the lock screen, the clock, the widgets, all that stuff will nicely sit on top of it. If you're using it on the home screen, all your widgets, your apps, all that stuff will nicely sit on top of it. If you're using Stage Manager, all those app windows will nicely sit on top of it because it has this nice blurry background. So like you don't have like sharp objects and stuff popping out that are trying to take away focus. The nice thing about a blurry background is it just kind of just fades away. It's just nicely there. So it uses a lot of blues and some blacks. There is one really bright star that puts off light. And I like the way this turned out. I was really happy with it. In fact, it's my wallpaper right now. I will have to switch it back because I'm in the middle of filming a video and I was using a different wallpaper for that video. But once I'm done with that video, this will be probably my main wallpaper for a while. So,
I know that pain.
yeah, exactly. It's like, I can't make it. Like you want to make a change, but you're like in the middle of filming something. It's like, I can't do this just yet. So, but yeah, I really like how this one turned out. You guys have any questions about it, or can we move on to what Niléane did, which I did get a spoiler for, but yeah.
Okay. I have one question. What are you using to edit your photos these days?
I'm using Lightroom. I love Lightroom. It gives me the results that I want. I know there are better iPadOS apps, in which it's kind of ironic after I just had a topic about like not really good iPadOS project management apps. But Lightroom is definitely the best of all of Adobe's apps on the iPad. It has most of the features the desktop version of Lightroom has. Lightroom Cloud, not Lightroom Classic. It has most of the features that are there. Some stuff that I really like I actually like. Okay, so I know I kind of get down on AI, but it has like this AI removal tool, which is really nice for just like quickly like taking somebody out of the background of a photo or something like that. Like my girlfriend and we went on vacation a few weeks ago, and we had this really nice photo. But this guy walked in the background while we were taking it, and I just went in there, just removed him. I didn't have to like sit there and Photoshop something, and just it's a photo for us. Like it's not something I'm entering in a photography almost said concert.
It's a con.
Yeah. Anyways, so that's kind of nice, but I get the color grades I want. I've also built a bunch of Lightroom presets for myself, and I learned photo editing by going and buying some photographers that I like their Lightroom presets, and I just kind of dissected like, okay, how are they getting this image? What setting controls what? And then I just went on and made my own. No, I don't have a Lightroom preset pack. I'm not going to sell you that because I'm not that good. But yeah, no, I'm just using Lightroom.
Nice.
Matt, you had a question?
No, I don't think so. I forgot.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, moving right along then. Niléane, I am a little bummed I got a little spoiler of yours, but what did you do?
Okay, so you will see in the notes a bunch of links. You can go ahead and click on the preview link. There's a link called preview.
Okay.
and you will see a preview of my wallpaper for this week's challenge. What it is, I think the preview as the chapter art will work well as well. What it is a dynamic wallpaper
That's cool.
that changes color throughout the day and night. So I did my best because it's my first time doing this. And so just to describe it a little bit, it's basically a background, a gradient, a pretty soft gradient with shapes and lines on top and dots. So the shapes and lines are all white-ish and the dots as well. It's meant to mimic the sky and to mimic clouds, but like alien clouds that would look like lines. Or that was my idea, at least.
It reminded me a lot of like the Van Gogh Starry Nights painting. Like that's what when I first thought of it, like it's kind of got like, yes, it's the sky, but like it's kind of got this artsy approach to it as well.
Yeah. And so to describe it, and that's why there are a bunch of links. You've got numbered links from 1 to 6. Each is a moment of the day. So from 1 to 6, you've got just before sunrise. Then you've got sunrise as 2. 3 is during the day, most of the day. So that's from mid-morning to mid-afternoon. Then you've got sunset and evening. And the last one, the 6th link, is night. So it's the darkest. They all have very different gradients. The 2 morning ones go from basically a kind of shade of beige to turquoise bluish. The day one is very much inspired by Apple's wallpaper. Apple have a dynamic wallpaper integrated into macOS that's called the Solar Gradient wallpaper. And the day version of that wallpaper looks very much like this gradient, so I used that. I liked it. And that's the gradient that you see most of the time, because most of the day. And the sunset, it goes from orange to a dark bluish. Then evening one is just a darker version of that. And night is a deep blue into black. And the strikes, the lines and shapes and the stars, they have a gradient as well on them, and that gradient changes as well to like kind of look as if they are reflecting the sunlight. I did my best. Some of the lines are imperfect in places, and I couldn't be bothered fixing them. I fixed some of them. So please don't look too hard.
I think they look pretty good. Like I think you did a really great job. You definitely put the most amount of effort in. I mean, you literally created a dynamic wallpaper, which I'm bummed about the iPad doesn't have, because I would absolutely make this my wallpaper if I could set dynamic wallpapers as my background.
Yeah. How did you make this? Like, what app did you use to draw the lines?
All right. So to draw the lines, I used Figma. Same to make the gradients. In Figma, exported every single slice of the wallpaper, let's say, from Figma. And then I used the app that I already mentioned, because I had a rant on this very show about dynamic wallpapers a few episodes ago. And I used that app that I mentioned that time. It's called Dynaper. Yeah. Dynaper, Dynaper. And that's an app that you use to generate dynamic wallpapers. It's very advanced. And I've only used it before to generate wallpapers that have a dark and light version into them. But it's also able to create this full range dynamic wallpapers where you can insert like 24 images into one and assign times to each each hour, like basically to each image. And you can also use it's got an integrated tool, so you can set your GPS location, and it sets the times according to your location, the sun in the sky. I don't know how that works, but I tried. Yeah, I used times, like rough times for my time zone for where I am in the world. So maybe you will need to adjust that, but you can use Dynapper to adjust that. Yeah.
Nice. This is really cool. Honestly,
It's
like
really
I
cool.
really like this. You
Yeah, I'm
definitely
really
put
happy.
the most amount of effort in, because you not just had to make, you didn't have to make one wallpaper, you had to make 6 because of the nature of dynamic wallpapers and stuff like that. Even though technically the challenge was to only do one.
That's one wallpaper. I don't know what you.
I've never won by following the rules. You have to get a little
Yeah, that's
creative.
true. I'm actually the only one that submitted one wallpaper. Technically, like you can.
It is one wallpaper. God
Well,
damn it!
you you can download one of the individual ones. Like if you're somebody that just uses your devices in dark mode, I think it's is it number 6, Niléane? That's all. Like I think this one would look gorgeous as like if you just have like your devices in dark mode. I think this one would look great if you set it individually. So yeah, great job. I love this. I love how you made this. It looks really cool.
You said I put a lot of effort into it. Like I just want to stress that it's very simple. Like to do. I mean, like
Fine, then I win the challenge this week.
I just mean that conceptually it's very simple. You just open Figma and use the what's it called, the tool, the
Pen?
in English, the pen tool. Yeah. So
Or
use
vector
the
tool? I forget what it's called.
yeah, I
I've
forgot.
literally never used Figma, so I don't know.
Oh,
It's
amazing.
the same in any vectorial app. Oh, Figma's UI changed, so I can't even check. Oh, it's at the bottom now. Okay, the pen tool in Figma, where you can just drag on nodes to make curves, and so it's very conceptually it's just that, and then gradients as the background, and that's it. So I spent an hour on this. So like you can come up with something that looks nice, with very little things in Figma.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
I'm
I love
happy.
this. Anything else on the wallpapers before we move on to the new challenge?
Should we democracy this again?
I think we should democracy
I think we
this.
should.
Because honestly, I like everyone's. I think they're
Yeah.
all really interesting. I can't use Niléane's, unfortunately. But yeah, like I mean, I guess I could set it as no, I don't even see the wallpaper on that. So, but yeah, no, I think we should democracy this, and I don't know how we'll do it, but we'll figure out a way.
24-hour poll this time, we got to remember.
Yeah. I mean, it didn't really change the results anyways,
No,
but yeah.
it didn't.
Yeah. But we got destroyed. But that's okay. Moving on.
Wrecked. Oh my god.
All right, Matt. So it is your challenge this week. What do you have for us?
Yeah, so I have a classic at this point. We're only in episode 13, but I'm calling it a classic. A classic comfort zone style challenge. Or maybe it's just the sort of challenge I do. I would like us to each find a new Microsoft app.
Oh, God.
I saw it appear live in the document.
And similar rules to all my other challenges, you got to find something nice to say. So I was thinking in our circles online in tech, our tech circles, Apple comes up a lot, Google comes up sometimes, but like we're never talking about Microsoft stuff. And if you go to like Microsoft's, if you go to their App Store page, they have like a billion apps. There's got to be something in there that's okay. So,
Well, that's because they buy everything and then sunset it.
well, before they sunset it,
They bought Sunrise, right?
Yeah, it was Sunrise, and then they said we're sunsetting it. Like they thought they were super clever, and it was like,
my
okay.
God. Your cruelty is cute. Oh my god.
I'm gonna bring Hypervisor or something like that, where I can just like
I don't even know what that is.
It's their version of VMware, where you can run different different servers and stuff on one server. You can run multiple virtual servers. Wow, I could not say that. Multiple virtual servers on one physical server. I'm just kidding. I'm not going to bring hypervisor because that wouldn't be new.
Okay. You got some time to think about it, but try to find something that you can remotely defend.
Remotely, keyword here. Yeah. There's a loophole in remotely, I'm sure.
Yeah. Maybe like there's Microsoft made a remote app and like
maybe I can get my partner to use a Microsoft app and I can remotely look at it.
Wait. Okay, hang on. Oh, I just figured out what I'm going to do. I just figured it out. I'm not going to say. I just figured out what I'm going to do. I just remembered what Microsoft owns. And okay, cool. All right. That just about does it.
I know what you mean.
Oh, wait.
Yeah.
Okay,
I know what you mean.
Do what you want.
Wrapping it up. I remember what Microsoft owns. Never mind. Wrapping up. All right. Anyways, that just about does it for us this week. I forgot we have dating questions. I keep forgetting every week that we do this. Problem is I don't remember the name of the. Oh, there it is. Okay, let's see. Let's get started here. Oh, I love this one. Absolutely love this one. If you were a NPC, non-player character in a video game, what role would you have? I love this one. I'd be one of those characters that has like the same 5 generic lines that just repeats it over and over and over again. Maybe standing behind like a bar.
You'd want to do that?
I mean, I wouldn't want to, but that's what I would be.
Okay. Yeah.
I mean, what I would want, I'd either want to be a merchant because they make bank, or a quest giver because like the king or something where like you set the hero off on their journey.
That's good.
What are the little things hidden everywhere in Zelda?
The Koroks.
Is that it?
I think so. I think so.
Yeah, the little guys with the masks.
Like, tree people with the
Is it what? Is that the what?
I think so.
Korogu?
Yeah.
Isn't so it's a French specific name?
Oh, do they?
Oh, do you guys have another name? What's the French name?
I know them. Okay, I just found the name. I know them as Korogu.
Oh.
Yeah.
Today I learned.
Okay. And what's the real name? I mean, real.
Well, the English one is Koroks.
Koroks.
I'm not sure what they are in Japanese, which I guess would be the real name.
Yeah.
Okay,
so I'd be a Korogu.
Matt, what would you be?
I would want to be the childhood friend in the opening, like the village that you start the game in, and wishes you well on your adventure. That's what I want to be.
Okay.
Matt wants to be your mom in Pokemon. That gives you
I want
to be your
mom in Pokemon, your mom in Dragon Quest, your friend in Zelda.
The granddad in Stardew Valley.
Yeah, absolutly. No,
Who dies?
No, except for that one.
I just remembered he dies.
It's like, why do I have the farm? Oh, yeah.
Oh, geez. All right. Well, that just about does it for us this week. Huge thank you to Mac Stories for having us. We are a Mac Stories podcast after all. Matt, Niléane, say goodbye.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye. Have a nice week.